So I was looking up some Resident Evil 2 remake stuff, you know, the fan art, some memes, Rule 34, and I came across this article. The Resident Evil 2 remake is a saga of battered women. Wow, that's quite a thing to say, but let's check it out. You can go and read through the article if you particularly hate yourself, but I can save you the trouble and go through some of the finer points right here. So, the article starts. As I watched videos of Resident Evil 2 with a female friend before release, we saw one of the two protagonists be chased, grabbed, and clubbed by a huge indestructible masculine creature in a trench coat. So that would be Mr. X. My friend got shudders from the footage. So you're telling me that she got scared from a horror game? Yeah, that's the whole point of the game. He goes on with a story. She recounted a story of walking home from a party late at night down an abandoned street, and a hulking man in a coat appearing seemingly out of nowhere behind her, who began walking faster and faster, his shoes banging on the cement. She ran and dodged into a 24/7 laundromat, where thankfully a couple of late-night washers were. She called a cab from there and got home, the worst behind her, but the memory still lingers years later. So she basically recounted a story where X almost gave it to her? I'm joking, that was a very bad joke. But this is kind of a strange way to start the article. The subjective experience of this friend doesn't reflect on the game or the message it sends. What does the game have to do with any of this? And if you've had such prior experiences, then maybe the game is not best suited for you. By the way, the trailer they linked to the article, which I assume is the one they watched, has Mr. X in it for a whole 2 seconds. 2 seconds! PTSD from 2 seconds? Getting a 2-second glance at this article gave me PTSD flashbacks of shitty articles. He goes on to mention, as I was thinking, and as you probably are too, that Resident Evil is actually a pretty progressive series when it comes to the way women are portrayed. Lots of female protagonists, and strong roles, and convincing stories. This author agrees, but then goes on to make a strange point. This is true here too, but more so than before, it brings to the surface many fears and anxieties women face. Aside from the fact that he's continuing the long-standing tradition of men speaking for women, I haven't had any of my fears and anxieties brought to surface when playing through all the scenarios in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Both characters have the same struggles, and if anything, it shows that a female character is capable of overcoming those struggles. He then goes on to talk about the changes between the original and the remake, especially the small details about Chief Irons, Ada, Sherry, and then Annette, how Claire tries to protect Sherry, what a pervert Irons is, how Birkin attacks Sherry, and how Ada's backstory changes from the original and the remake. The author also has this obsession with huge stalking men. For example, the older, confident woman, that would be Claire, who rescues her referring to Sherry, still deals with a huge stalking man, even more dangerous than the one she just faced. He's referring to Irons here. Did he just miss the part where Leon is also chased and beaten by Mr. X? He goes on to say it's unlikely there will ever be a time when the game's publisher and IP holder Capcom will ever do a serious deep dive into the PTSD effects women suffer from their horrific experiences, since the series will have to retain an air of levity, if for no other reason than mainstream appeal. Well, why should it dive into the PTSD effects women suffer? It's a horror game, the prime motive being to scare the player, not to comfort them and to be their therapist. As I've mentioned before, if you really are the type that would suffer pains from the past by playing this game, then maybe this game just isn't the best for you. Even the original games had splash screens warning players of the violence in them. The bulking masculine stalkers, family abandonment, fathers causing harm to a girl's body that will scar her for life, the never-ending leering and threatening men, a sense of dread in dark places for who may be there, truly a saga of battered and tough women. Alright, aside from the fact that neither the original nor the remake are making any political statements, why leering? Let's take a look at the definition. Looking or gazing in a lascivious or unpleasant way. Listen, nobody is leering at anybody in the remake. That's just some weird sexual undertone you're trying to add to make the series more problematic than it really is. Look, the only leering that's happening is me looking at Leon's abs, okay? Now already you must have made an image of this article and its source in your head. Probably some delusional out-of-reach journalist trying to get clicks with an outrageous headline, right? Well, not entirely. I get the point he's trying to make, but the point itself is pointless. Yes, it shows various forms of abuse to women, and men too. Yes, there are negative experiences depicted to make the characters more believable, but at the end of the day, it's a video game about a zombie outbreak. No wonder people will get hurt, both male and female. Mr. X doesn't discriminate. He follows both Claire and Leon. The game isn't sexist, nor does it try to be. This is a video game about friendship, perseverance in the face of adversity, and if you want to get political, an abundance of positive and strong female role models. Like my personal favorite, Jill Valentine. Resident Evil has always had this effect in my mind. When I was a little girl, I saw Jill and how badass she was, and it made me feel empowered. I know it's cheesy, but this feeling continues to this day, and I would argue many girls that have played these games feel the same way too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought about it below. If you really like what I do, then please consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll see you in the next one!